Welcome to the True Grime Stories podcast, where in every episode, we'll unravel a new mystery of cleaning business transformation from a grimy mess to a great success. Join me, your host, Jeannie Henderson, as together we dig up cleaning business secrets that you've been dying to know. Welcome, everyone, to our next episode of True Grime Stories. I'm super excited because I have a good friend here with me today, and you're very lucky because I know that she's going to have some great tips for you in your cleaning business or if you're thinking of starting one. So let's welcome Jenn Tangeman. She is the owner and founder of Clean by Design, and she just happens to be right here in Kalamazoo, Michigan, with me, which is where my business is. So that's pretty cool. I've known Jenn for several years, and it's really cool to have someone in your community doing the same thing you are, and to have them as a friend too. It makes a big difference. So Jenn got started serving this area back in 2009. So she's been in the industry for quite a while, but she's got a great story there about how her business changed over time. And she also operates a fourth generation family business, which is a campground. There's a lot of camping up here in Michigan. I know in a lot of other parts of the country there are, but so she also does that. She's a busy girl. She has 3 children, and they're 18, 19, and 21. I've met her kids. They're beautiful, wonderful, smart, talented people. And I see they're going to change the world too. And she has an amazing family dog named Roscoe. And as you know, many of us love our pets. So we want to welcome Jenn to True Grime Stories today. Welcome, Jenn.
Oh, thank you, Jeannie.
Yeah, so glad to have you here. Finally, it took us a while. I have so many friends in the cleaning industry. It's like I got to get everybody here to share these great stories. A lot of people just don't realize that how they can really overcome the challenges that we face as entrepreneurs. So let's get started with where you got started. Like what inspired you to start cleaning?
Well, yeah, my mom and grandma always joked that they inspired me by not keeping a clean home. But that was the family joke, but it's really not the truth. My original inspiration was a combination of leaving and being unfairly treated in the corporate world, having some negative experiences as an employee, and wanting to build something of my own where I could never treat anyone the way I felt I was treated.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And then that combined with being a single mom and 3 kids and the whole survival thing, like we got to do something. This didn't work out. This didn't feel good. What can I build that will, allow me to support my children? But also at the time I thought I'd make my own schedule and I could clean myself around getting my 3 children to school and daycare and just the logistics with all of that. So those are the 2 big factors that led to me being a trunk slammer.
Trunk slammer, yeah. Many of us start that way. And what was your career prior to that?
I was a director of sales and marketing for a few different home improvement companies.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then I had dabbled in doing some small, I had like a small marketing firm where I too tried to help small businesses grow.
That's cool. Well, that's a great background to have, though. Kind of gives you some advantage for sure when it comes to being an entrepreneur. Having I talk to so many cleaning business owners, and they're like, I don't know how to do marketing. I don't know how to do sales. So to come in with that's great. That gives you a leg up. Did you find that helped you getting started?
Well, ironically, I often joke that I went to school and have education in marketing and business, but I don't actually spend or market my business very much, even though I know better and I've been coached better. But I've kind of gone all in the referral networking side of marketing and less in advertising dollars. But at one point I I bought that from people that were selling it to me in my previous position. And then I went to school and worked in an organization where I helped people buy it. And now that I'm having my own business, I'm not buying as much as I should or could, if that makes any sense at all.
From knowing you as long as I have, and just from living in this community, I think that you are a master networker. I've just like Jenn is everywhere. Like if you like look at any event that's happening in Kalamazoo at a picture of people, like there's Jenn. She's there. And also just a lot of people look to you for advice in that area. So, networking is part of marketing. And if you do it well, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. One of the things I often tell people when they are afraid to market because they don't have money, I said, well, if you don't have money, then you have time. Right. And that's what you're still spending. You're just spending time instead of money. So that's cool. Well, the title of our podcast is True Grime Stories. And so we know that there are lots of those in the residential cleaning industry. I'm sure you can think of quite a few in your past. We all have them. But today I'd love to dive into one of your grime scenes, a time when you were throwing up your hands, maybe thinking of quitting, not sure if you were cut out for this, and then found your way out of it. So what comes to mind when you think of one of your big grime scenes?
Well, ironically, I just thought of one and was talking with a networking group this morning at a meeting about one. One of, when you think about being on the front line and trunk slammer and, being a cleaner and not a business owner. I remember the days where I was juggling cleaning, taking phone calls, invoicing, scheduling. I would do a job and then I would, change my clothing to go do an estimate or change my, clothing to go to a networking event. And I'm like, wiping sweat from my forehead and trying to freshen up. And like, when I think of the nitty gritty past, that's what comes to mind is just the overwhelm, the chaos, the trying to do everything, just very thinly spread. And that's about as grimy as it gets when you go from scrubbing toilets to walking a home to having to professionally present yourself at a networking meeting, and then go home and start your second shift job of caring and taking care of 3 kids. I mean, it's pretty dirty and pretty grimy, right?
Oh my goodness. So, I have goosebumps right now, Jenn. Like that, you just took me back. And I think that is it's something that many of us run into in the cleaning industry. When we start, we have no idea what we're getting ourselves into, and we want to grow our business, but then growth means more of all the things that you have to do. And the number of hats that you have to wear as an entrepreneur and as a woman, an entrepreneur and a mother, it can be just massive, overwhelming chaos. So I love that you brought that up. And I think that this is one that many of our listeners are either living or have lived, or they don't know it's coming, but it's on its way. Right.
Right.
So when you were in that grime scene and you just, were you pretty much like 7 days a week?
Yeah, I recall weeks where I sometime logged, up to 80 hours.
Oh,
yeah. I remember, 10-hour days changing to 12 to 14 to 16, and then, doing everything I could while my kids were at school or in daycare, and then doing the invoicing and the scheduling and the marketing once you were home while you were trying to juggle everything else. And, even though I feel like I'm so far away from that now, there's still days that are grimy. There's still 14-hour days here and there. But, though they're a little bit easier to digest now than they were then.
Well, the difference is when you have one today, that not every day is going to be that.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I remember back in the beginning, like thinking this is a never ending, you know, grime scene, a never ending story. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this,
Yeah.
how I'm going to dig myself out of this mess that I built. So when you were there and you were in that, how did you start taking some steps to get out? Was there like one big revelation of how you did that? Or was it a series of steps? How did you find your way out?
Yeah, I think it was a series of steps. I don't think, and the important thing is, I think in the moment of being in it, I didn't know I didn't know that today was ever going to exist.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I didn't know the possibilities of what I was working so hard for, but I knew that failure wasn't an option. And I
Hmm.
think I tried a variety of things, but really it was like that I was on the grind. There's no giving up. There's no stopping. I think I tried to hire, some subcontractors to work alongside me. I may have tried and, to form several relationships with other supporting talents that could help build the business. And then I would say that the biggest breakthrough was one, I was coached that I needed to choose between having a job and having a business. And so I
Oh, yeah.
started kind of practicing that mindset of, I'm okay with getting my hands dirty. I love working hard. I grew up, working hard for the family business too. So I'm like, working hard is fine. But is this the job I want to have, or do I want to build this into something bigger? And I think the biggest breaking point was I had gotten myself to a place where I had a really great team, um, a few key players and talents that could help in areas that I wasn't good at. Um, and I was starting to experience some of the freedoms of not cleaning every single day, but I was
Hmm.
still in the field, here and there occasionally, because I still needed to oversee things.
Right.
And of course, for me, the biggest break was sitting in a room. I went to a conference, um,
Hmm.
and I sat in a room, and you invited me to this conference.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you
Yeah, thank
came.
you. Thank you. I sat in that room, and I realized I was one of 500 people that were just like me, who,
Mm.
if they weren't in that position right now, they had been in it, or they were going to be in it. And I was just like, wow, I'm not alone. So I think having that experience is what really pushed me forward, to realize that I didn't have to do it alone, and that I could be supported, that I had guidance and community. And then once I really grasped that concept, I was able to spread it through the rest of my team, like my leadership team, and go, wait,
Hmm.
you can also, not have to turn all the plates at the same time. You can just be really good at this, and you can be really good at that. So developing a team where it's like, no, you don't have to clean and schedule. You can just schedule. Like
Yeah.
that's a job,
Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah, that is so great. You mentioned your leadership team that, not only are you building a great business and job for yourself, you're not just throwing that on someone else and making them live in that terrible crime scene, right?
I
Right. We learn how to then build a business where everyone can have work-life balance if there is such a thing. And, that's super exciting. And the I think one of the things that people have a hard time with in that thing is letting go of tasks, right? And like which tasks to let go of and how to delegate. I think that's one of the biggest, scariest things, and why so many people get stuck because they're holding on, like, well, nobody
yeah.
else can do it as good as I can, or, that kind of thing. So, how did you, when it came to that delegation point, like, what was like the first thing you handed off to someone else?
Um, the first thing that I handed off to someone else was payroll. Um,
Mm.
calculating payroll. I'm very much not a analytical, um, very specific person. And to be quite honest, payroll for me at the time was like rounding up hours and meeting people in a parking lot to pay them cash at the end of the week with their paper time cards.
I love that.
So
that mental picture of Jen, doing a deal out in a parking lot.
Right. Yeah. Like literally paying my subcontractors at the end of their week. And that was payroll. So I had to hand that off to someone else right away. As soon as I knew better, I had to do better. And having someone do that right away, I remember my payroll gal showing me the amount of money that I was giving away because of my rounding up every week. Oh. Yeah, not to mention all the other factors that go along with what I was doing that I thought was, okay.
It's amazing how that stuff adds up. One of the lessons that I learned from our coach, Debbie, was annualizing everything. Like every number I look at, I annualize it. And I'm like, do I want to live with that number on a yearly basis? So handing off payroll, that's a great first thing to hand off when you're building a team. And then you have a leadership team. Like what kind of roles do you have helping you run your business?
So I have a variety. I have a bookkeeper, who's different than my, tax support, the person that does my taxes. I have I call her an operations director, but she's doing everything from payroll to scheduling to running payments and invoices at the end of the day. She does some customer care, customer service as well. I have an executive administrative assistant who, you can only imagine does a little bit of everything. I have
everybody's like, oh, I want that.
Yeah. Like, I've just over the years, I've recognized what I'm good at and what I'm not. And I'm not good at a lot more than what I'm good at. So I'm trying to focus on what I'm really good at and delegate literally everything else. So I have, someone that does social media and, someone who, a field tech who helps make sure the technicians are okay, or a field supervisor, you might call them, gets them their supplies and does ongoing training with them and things like that. So I've got a really great support team put together that, they really make everything happen. I always tell them, you guys are doing everything. I just work here. I ask them what's going on, what's really going on, guys.
Yeah. That's great though. I mean, it sounds like, over time you just started to realize, well, I don't have to do this. If I can still grow my business and not do that thing. Then you found someone who was good at it.
Yeah.
Probably enjoyed it more than you and, did it. And I remember back when I was doing all the things, sometimes I felt like, well, I'm the only one that can do that because I'm the only one who understands it, or I'm the only one who can do sales because nobody else is going to be as passionate as I am about the business, or, like really, hard to hand things off. Did you, and, obviously you've been successful at that now. But like when you were handing off, like, for example, selling, where it's something that's kind of a pretty high level task, right? Did you have any hiccups there? Like,
so I don't think I can't speak on that because I haven't successfully handed over sales. I still do most of the sales myself. I have some sales systems that I've had help getting designed to manage sales. But the thing I can say was, the first thing that was really hard to hand off was cleaning.
That's huge.
I think that's huge. The payroll and the scheduling was pretty hard to hand off as well, because I really did believe, I've been doing this so long, like who could do this better than me? And my scheduler is amazing.
That's so good.
And now I can't even touch the schedule or anything to do with it because she's just so great at it.
Yeah, that's a
And
tough one to hand off too. I think a lot of people struggle with that one. After handing off cleaning, I bet handing off scheduling is the next biggest one
yeah,
because there's so much that is in your brain that you have to like get out of your brain and either into a software or into the schedule or, into the brain of the other person.
yeah, that was huge for me. And then I think just the idea, letting go of the idea that, none of us can really control anything but ourselves. And that's a big thing for entrepreneurs and cleaning business owners is, the reality is you're right. No one is probably ever going to put as much heart into cleaning as you are as an owner. You are
Mhm.
going to come across some wonderful employees that have ownership mentality, but they are working for you and it's not their business. But if you create a system that people can follow and you coach them to success, you just have to accept that they might not do exactly what you're going to do, but you can play a big influential role on them doing the best job they possibly can. And that's a lot when it comes to business nowadays, customer service, going above and beyond. Like it's few and far between that you have those really great experiences. and
Mhm.
and you just have to have the confidence that your team is going to go out there and do the best they can. And then I truly believe, and I tell our clients when I speak with them, how much we appreciate your feedback. We want the opportunity to improve.
Mhm.
We're kind of explaining to them from the gate that we're human, and it's not if we're going to have an error, it's when, and then
Mhm.
how we're going to deal with it when it happens, because we want to do our best. But, sometimes people don't see, I see things different than, I'm 6 foot tall and I have 5'2" cleaners, right? Different
Mhm.
eyes, different
You can see the
height.
top of the fridge.
Right. I don't need a step
Yeah.
stool. So I think
Yeah.
accepting that is huge. And then I
Yeah.
think making sure your team and your clients know that, we're striving for perfection, but we're also human, right? It's going to be
That's
okay.
so good. And it's such a good thing for, budding cleaning business owners to hear that when you hand it off, it won't be perfect, but it's definitely going to be okay. And
Yeah.
there are tools like using feedback and communication to fix that. And people don't expect perfection. They expect that something's going to go wrong. But the fact that you have a system and you ask very openly for feedback, that kind of takes care of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I love that you mentioned that because there's all these what ifs that go through people's mind. Well, if I stop cleaning and someone else is cleaning, what if this? What if that? And there are tools out there to help you deal with all of that. And so I would love to take a little break here and come back. I want to talk about kind of like then and now, how life has changed now that you've accomplished this, amazing feat of handing off tasks in your business, which so many people struggle with. So we'll take this little break and hear from our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals, and we'll be right back. Is your cleaning business a grime story? There's no need to stay stuck in the muck because you're not alone. With over 500 active members and more than 500 graduates of our Cleaning Business Fundamentals program, CBF is the #1 cleaning business academy in the world and has created more mop-free millionaires than any program in the industry. Learn more and let CBF take your residential cleaning business from a grime story to a gleaming success. Well, welcome back, everyone, to True Grime Stories. We're here with Jenn Tangeman, the CEO of Clean by Design, right here in my hometown of Kalamazoo, Michigan. So, welcome back, Jenn.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're excited now that you've shared your story about overcoming that grime story of being the person wearing all the hats. And, your life is pretty much being run by your business instead of you running your business, right? And so, what's life like now? What's your business like now? And kind of what's your life like now that you've been able to achieve, this, uh, handing off tasks and freeing yourself up to do other things to grow your business?
I think the biggest gift of everything is knowing that I'm building something bigger than me that is going to positively influence, everyone in our community, from being able to serve more clients to creating more jobs, and doing it with some best practices in mind. It feels really rewarding for me to be able to offer, a matching IRA benefit. It feels really good to be able to, be motivated by filling a schedule for one of my cleaners so that they have an amazing paycheck. It feels really good. Yesterday, I took the day to just oversee some big projects at our family business. And I couldn't be in the office. I couldn't really answer my phone. And just to know that like everything is okay, without me watching it, without me being available, without me answering any questions. It's a very freeing feeling, and it overwhelms me with gratitude.
Mm.
We're finally to the point now where even financially we can give back more to our community. And also I just celebrated this recently, is feeling confident to say no to jobs that aren't a good fit.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
that's
Yeah.
something that has always been hard for me because I have such a heart of service. I want to
Right.
help
So many
everyone.
of us do. Yeah.
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 And it kind of plays with like you and I being in the same community,
Mhm.
and serving the same market, to be able to say, I'm not going to starve if I pass this business to somebody else that's a better fit to serve these people.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
feels really great to be able to do that, to focus
Yeah.
on what I think we're great at. And, unlike some people's viewpoint might be like, oh, wow, you guys, share markets, you're in the same area, but to collaborate, and be able to pass business to people that are better suited to serve, is just, I think it's the best thing ever.
It
So
is, isn't it? Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's excuse me. I'm still getting over a cold. So those of you who think I sound funny, that's it. But yeah. So that is so good that it's just it's one of the biggest gifts I think that I have found too is just the number one, the freedom of how it frees your mind. Like you get to be so much more creative and like you can show up as a better self every day when you're not exhausted and overwhelmed, right?
yeah,
And afraid of the phone ringing because you don't know what's that call is all about. It's like that is one of the best feelings, but giving more, I mean, what a huge blessing that is, to you and the people on your team. I know that makes them feel good that your business is supporting the community. But I think like what we have is such a gift, to get to know someone else who's doing, and I don't even like to call your business a competitor, I
no.
feel like we're partners in serving the community.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to know others who are doing what you do and being able to, Jen and I have passed referrals back and forth between our businesses so many times over the years. It's like such a
Yeah.
gift to not feel threatened by someone else who's doing a great job out there, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah, so cool. I love that you shared that. And and then for you, like what does your life look like now? You have um this great business is running and you have your family business, and your kids are grown and they're kind of, creating some things of their own. How is the fact that you made that change to your business impacted your personal life?
Well, one of my favorite hobbies or things to do is travel.
Mhm.
So being able to have time available to travel, have funds available. Um, I have attracted several other business owner friends that will just randomly be like, "Hey, want to go here?" And my
Mhm.
most recent trip, I was able to visit another town and explore a business location for a friend of mine.
Mhm.
And just be there with her to have that experience and pick out her next, storefront and what town she'll open another business in. So, I
That's
mean,
cool. Mm-hmm.
I never, back when I was in the grime, I couldn't really see a future or anything beyond that moment, just blinders, head forward, work as hard as you can. Now I feel the freedom enough to be creative and think, oh, what do I want to do next? What avenue will I take? Will I become a mentor, or will I open a new location or a new business? Will I, want to start a business in the location that I have a retirement home in? And just, all of these possibilities, I think wouldn't have been achievable before I felt supported and structured and free from the nitty gritty grime. Right.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that, I think what you're living right now is when we become entrepreneurs, we think we're going to get there someday, but we have no idea how that happens. And I remember looking at other people who were doing what you're doing and thinking, I'll never be there. And I do love watching your life. Like, we're connected on social media, and when you share, I'm here, you're visiting all these great places. It's such a joy to see people achieve that, and it can be done. So I really am so grateful that you shared that story today. It gives hope to a lot of cleaning business owners out there who are either just starting out or have been doing it for years and are still stuck in that grime of, I have to do all the things, and it, just so overwhelming.
Yeah, I think the soonest if you can make it a priority to allow yourself to delegate a few things, you will instantly see the reward and the space that it creates in your brain. I recently had a Monday where I came to work and I just didn't have anything on my schedule. I wasn't needed for my daily operations. And I was able to be so creative, create some new systems, review some old systems. And it just felt so good and so rewarding. And I think that it's hard for us as business owners to allow ourselves that because we have that feeling of no one can do it like me. Most of the things that I have delegated are being done better by someone who specializes in those things.
Yeah. And they can focus on it. They're not, juggling all of it or keeping the plate spinning, like you were saying, like, and everybody can have a much better experience at it too. Yeah. So that's so good. And thank you so much, Jenn, for being here. I know that people are going to love hearing about how you found your way out of your grime story. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeannie. Have the best day.
Yeah, you too. And to our audience, I want to thank you for being part of True Grime Stories today. You are making this podcast happen. So be sure and share this, subscribe, download, because you're keeping True Grime Stories alive. And if you'd like to know more about how you can get control of your business and learn more about cleaning business fundamentals, check out the show notes. You can go check out Jenn's company, Clean by Design, and you can also learn more about cleaning business fundamentals. I'd love to talk with you if you'd like to know more. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day. That's a wrap on today's True Grime Stories. Thanks for joining us in uncovering the secrets of cleaning business success. Don't forget to subscribe, share, and download, and check out our show notes for links and info from today's episode, and to learn more about our sponsor, Cleaning Business Fundamentals. Join us next time as we solve another True Grime story.